Imagine you're visiting someone in hospital. You've entered the ward, exchanged greetings. If you're a woman, rearranged the flowers. If you're a man, helped yourself to a few grapes. You found a chair and settled down by the bedside. There's a lull in the conversation, and looking around, you notice there's a patient without a visitor. Maybe you yourself have been that patient. Maybe you yourself have experienced the desolation of being ill in hospital, with every bedside surrounded by relatives and friends, except your own. A bleak experience. When we're in hospital feeling pretty useless, vulnerable among strangers in an unfamiliar environment, visitors give us value. They remind us we're not forgotten. They put us in touch with the outside world from which we are excluded. That's what Advent is all about. Advent announces that we are a visited people, that God has stepped through the door into our confined space, recognized us, valued us, and put us in touch with a larger, more abundant life. But there is no fixed visiting hour for God. No bell rings to announce his arrival. This visitor comes at unexpected times, in unexpected places, in unexpected ways. They were looking for a king to slay their foes and lift them high. He came, a little baby thing that made a woman cry. This is how God always comes. There's an old Jewish story about an Arab who, sitting at the entrance to his tent, sheltering from the heat of the midday sun, sees through the desert haze 3 men approaching, weary, travel-stained men, knocked up a bit after a long journey. With typical Eastern hospitality, Abram, for that is his name, runs to greet them, fetches water for their sore, dirty feet, food and drink to refresh them. Only the best is good enough for his unexpected guests, so he kills the fatted calf, takes curds and milk, and waits on them himself. He then discovers that one of his guests is a comedian, someone who promises the doddering old man and his doddering old wife that they will have a son. A promise so hilariously improbable that Sarah, the wife, falls about laughing. Then, to their consternation, they discover they have entertained angels unawares, and that one of the surprising visitors, the comedian, is God. And where should we expect God to come? The prophet declared that the Lord would come suddenly to his temple, and that seems the obvious place. Samuel heard the voice of God while he was sleeping in the temple. Isaiah saw the Lord high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Simeon embraced the infant Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, in the temple. But Advent declares that God is not confined to the house of God. God encounters us in the most unexpected places. Moses in the dry desert scrub looking after sheep. Elijah hiding in a dark cave of despair. Jeremiah in a potter's workshop. Amos gazing at a swarm of locusts destroying the harvest. Simon Peter all at sea after a fruitless night's work. Saul of Tarsus on a frantic errand of hate and destruction. Wise men and shepherds in a smelly stable. Advent also declares that God has no timetable and there is no announcement of his arrival. We expect God to visit us when we are tranquil, quiet, and in a religious mood. The Advent readings speak of his coming when all is chaos, when we are at our wits' end, when it seems more appropriate to blaspheme than to pray. Our visitor does not come like Father Christmas at an expected hour, but like a thief in the night. God the burglar comes unexpectedly, unpredictably, sometimes to rob us of our dearest possessions. Rowan Williams in his poem Advent Calendar says the same thing, but more eloquently. He will come like last leaves fall, one night when the December wind has flayed the trees to bone, and earth wakes choking on the mould, the soft shrouds folding. He will come like frost, one morning when the shrinking earth opens on mist to find itself arrested in the net of alien, sword-set beauty. He will come like dark, one evening when the burning red December sun draws up the sheet and penny masks its eye to yield the star-snowed fields of sky. He will come like crying in the night, like blood, like breaking as the earth writhes to toss him free. He will come, and all we have to do is simply to be awake, wide awake. Our eyes and our ears open to welcome strangers and strange events, open to new life with its new possibilities, open to a visitation. So we are sitting in the ward. Visiting time is over and you glance around. There's one bed where, despite his visitors, one patient has been fast asleep the whole hour. Maybe he's been given too much medication. Maybe his pain has utterly wearied him. Maybe he just doesn't care. Going out, you tiptoe past his bed, give a sympathetic smile to his neglected friends. What a pity, you say to yourself, if when he wakes, no one tells him he has had a visitor